Qasim Sullimani, a name that ripples through the tides of international politics, was not just an ordinary man. Born in a small town in eastern Iran, his humble beginnings were a far cry from the power and influence he would later wield. As a young man, he was swept up in the fervor of the Iranian Revolution, trading his aspirations for a quiet life for a role in the tumultuous world of military and politics. Sulemani quickly rose through the ranks, demonstrating a knack for strategic thinking and a charismatic leadership style. His rise to power was meteoric, and before long he was commanding the Quds Force, an elite unit of the Iranian Revolutionary Guard. This position, often considered one of the most powerful in Iran, allowed Sulemani to extend his influence far beyond the country's borders. His tenure as the commander of the Quds Force was marked by a series of strategic maneuvers that positioned Iran as a key player in the Middle East. He masterminded a network of alliances, weaving a web of influence that spanned from Lebanon to Iraq, Syria, and beyond. These alliances, often with non-state actors and insurgent groups, were a testament to Sulemani's strategic acumen and his ability to navigate the complex landscape of Middle Eastern politics. But Sulemani was more than just a military strategist. He was a symbol of Iran's ambitions, a figurehead for the country's drive for regional dominance. His influence was felt not just in the barracks and battlefields, but also in the halls of power, where his strategic insights shaped Iran's foreign policy. In the world of geopolitics, Sulemani was a chess master, always thinking 3 moves ahead. His legacy is one of strategic brilliance, and his influence continues to shape the Middle East long after his departure from the world stage. The morning of January 3, 2020, marked a seismic shift in the Middle East's political landscape. As the sun rose on this fateful day, an airstrike of unprecedented magnitude was executed, leading to the abrupt end of Qasim Sullimani's life. This event was not only a significant blow to Iran, but it also marked a turning point in the geopolitical dynamics of the Middle East. Sulemani, a high-ranking general in Iran's Revolutionary Guard Corps, was traveling near Baghdad International Airport when the attack occurred. The strike, orchestrated with surgical precision, left no room for escape. It was a direct hit, eliminating one of the most influential figures in the region in an instant. The shock was palpable, not just in Iran but across the globe. Heads of states, diplomats, and international bodies scrambled to understand the implications of this event. The United Nations Security Council convened an emergency meeting, while NATO warned of potential escalations. In the following days, world leaders and media outlets were flooded with reports and analyses. The strike was described as an audacious act, a game-changer, and a potential trigger for an all-out war. The global community held its breath, waiting for Iran's next move. On the streets of Tehran, the reaction was a mix of disbelief, anger, and grief. Sulemani was not just a military figure. He was a national hero, a symbol of resistance against foreign intervention. His death sparked mass demonstrations, with millions mourning his loss and calling for retaliation. Meanwhile, in the political corridors of Washington, D.C., the strike was defended as an act of self-defense. The U.S. administration maintained that Sulemani was planning imminent attacks on American interests, though concrete evidence of such plans was not shared. Sulemani's death sent shockwaves around the world, prompting swift and decisive action from Iran. The stage was set for a showdown, a test of wills, and a potential escalation of hostilities that could redefine the Middle East's political landscape. The world had to wait and see how Iran would respond to this strike from the blue. In the wake of Sulemani's death, Iran was quick to respond. The nation was in a state of mourning, but the government's focus was on retaliation. It was as if a gauntlet had been thrown, and Iran picked it up without hesitation. Iran's response was swift and calculated, launching a series of ballistic missile strikes on 2 American military bases in Iraq. The Ain al-Assad base in Anbar province and Erbil base in Iraqi Kurdistan were hit in the early hours of January 8, 2020. With each missile that crashed into these bases, the world held its breath, waiting for the repercussions. This was no ordinary skirmish. The missile strikes represented the first time since the Second World War that a state had openly attacked U.S. military forces. The action was a clear escalation of tensions between the two nations, and it marked a significant shift in the geopolitical landscape of the Middle East. The ripples of these actions weren't just felt on the military front. Global markets trembled in the wake of Iran's retaliation. Oil prices spiked, and investors sought refuge in safe haven assets, underlining the economic shockwaves that such conflicts can trigger. The world watched anxiously, waiting for the United States' response. Would they retaliate, leading to a spiral of violence? Or would they seek a diplomatic resolution to de-escalate the situation? The world was on the edge, and it was clear that the next move by the United States would be critical in determining the future of the region. The implications of these retaliatory strikes were far-reaching. They not only escalated the standoff between Iran and the United States, but also threatened to plunge the entire Middle East into another cycle of conflict and instability. With every missile launched, Iran sent a clear message: the death of Sulemani would not go unanswered. The fallout of Suleimani's death and Iran's response continues to shape the Middle East. The aftershocks of such a seismic event are far-reaching and complex, with potential consequences that could alter the region's stability. The Middle East has long been a tinderbox of tensions. Suleimani's death and Iran's retaliation have added fuel to the fire. The potential for further escalation is palpable. Every move, every countermove risks igniting this volatile mix, potentially leading to a full-scale conflict that could draw in countries from around the globe. This is a game of high-stakes chess, where each move must be calculated with precision, where the objective is not just victory, but survival. The loss of a key piece like Sulemani changes the dynamics of the game. It reshuffles alliances, shifts strategies, and resets the board. We must also consider the role of international diplomacy in this precarious situation. Diplomacy is the art of navigating these treacherous waters, of preventing misunderstandings from escalating into conflicts. It's the delicate dance of balancing power, of managing egos, of ensuring that the dialogue remains open, even when tensions are high. In this context, diplomacy becomes more than just a tool in the toolbox of international relations. It becomes the lifeline, the safety net, that can prevent a situation from spiraling out of control. It is a critical component in maintaining a semblance of stability in a region that is anything but stable. The question that remains then is, how will the international community respond? Will they step up to the plate and take on the challenging task of mediating in this volatile situation? Or will they stand by and watch as the situation escalates, potentially leading to consequences that could reverberate far beyond the borders of the Middle East? In the complex game of Middle East politics, the ripples of Suleimani's death are still being felt. The fallout continues to shape the landscape of the region, and the full impact of this event may not be apparent for years to come. As we navigate this uncertain future, let's hope that the lessons of the past guide our steps and that diplomacy, not conflict, prevails. Qasim Sullimani's life, death, and the ensuing fallout paint a complex portrait of Middle East geopolitics. A figure of immense influence, Suleimani's role within Iran was multifaceted. He was a military strategist, a diplomat, and a symbol of Iranian power and resistance. His strategies and decisions shaped not only the direction of Iran's military, but also its political landscape and international relations. His untimely death in an airstrike orchestrated by Israel marked a significant turning point. This act, perceived as an open declaration of hostility, set off a series of reactions that reverberated through the region. The sudden void left by Suleimani's departure from the scene was felt deeply within Iran and beyond. The response from Iran was swift and decisive. They retaliated, demonstrating their military capabilities and their willingness to defend their interests. This reaction, however, was not without its consequences. The escalation of tensions has led to an increased sense of uncertainty and instability within the region. The potential implications of these events are far-reaching. They have the capacity to redefine alliances, shift power dynamics, and alter the course of the region's future. The Middle East finds itself at a crossroads, with each nation carefully considering its next move. As we delve deeper into this complex narrative, we find that these events are not isolated. Rather, they are part of a broader tapestry of geopolitical strategies, power plays, and historical conflicts. They serve as a stark reminder of the intricate and often volatile nature of international politics. In this context, it is crucial to view these events with a nuanced perspective. Understanding the significance of these developments requires a thorough analysis of the region's history, its political climate, and the underlying motivations of its key players. As we navigate these turbulent waters, one thing remains clear: the legacy of Qasim Sullimani continues to shape the Middle East's political landscape.